shocking rating tremors and the raw truth about on-screen chemistry. Tonight we lift the curtain on the most watched, most whispered about duo of recent years, Barış Arduç and Elçin Sangu. Welcome to Turkish Spotlight Secrets, where we peel back the layers of the stories everyone thinks they know. Before we dive in, you know how it goes. Stick with us till the end, because the details tucked between the lines are the ones that change the whole picture. Some questions sound harmless when shouted by a microphone on a red carpet, but their answers split fandoms, tilt ratings, and rewrite careers. And our question is one of those. 2 projects. 1 couple. Endless debate. On one side, Adam Farah, a production with a heartbeat that throbbed across borders, built communities in languages the script never spoke, and kept conversations alive even after lights went out on the set. On the other, Sefir'in, a dream that strode into television with a chest full of expectations, then staggered under the weight of weekly numbers in its 2nd season, until the final call rang out like a gavel. At the center of both storms stood Elçin Sangu and Barış Arduç, faces that can turn a look into a scene and a silence into a headline. And as cameras crowded around them during a press rush, a reporter laid down the match. Was it the couple, the script, or the viewers who wrote the real ending? Elçin did not toss a bouquet at one project and shadows at the other. She did not woo headlines with flattery or dodge them with excuses. She did what seasoned actors do when they've learned the rules are not written in ink. She spoke with a calm that felt like the hum of a set before action. 2 different worlds, she said without shouting it. 2 different rhythms, 2 different battlefields. 1 connection she would not disown. And that single idea, dual worlds, steady feeling, was enough to send social media spinning. Let's talk about those 2 worlds. From a distance, they wore similar costumes, whispers of the underworld, memories that bruise, men with heavy histories and women who step into those storms and somehow remain both delicate and unbreakable. But inside the engine room, the difference was everything. Adam Farah was shaped like an international passport. Its template was familiar to global viewers, a slow-burn romance draped over moral dilemmas, migration, identity, and the pulse of danger. Its best scenes lived in pauses, in breaths taken just before trust is given. The camera loved the quiet. The show asked the audience to listen to what was not said. Sefir'in, though, belonged to local gravity. It wore the grit of the city like cologne and moved with impatient feet. It cut fast, chased after cliffhangers, and played a tug-of-war with the viewer's demand for impact, immediacy, and fireworks. Love was not a slow spell in that world, it was a collision, sudden and volatile, fighting for screen time against plot turns that arrived like sirens at midnight. And how did our couple weather those climates? Barış Arduç has a reputation for being the quiet craftsman. A presence that does not need noise to be felt, a coin that glints the same under the harsh light of publicity and the soft lamps of a rehearsal room. Elçin Sangu brings a spark born of energy tempered by discipline. Together, on the set of Adam Farah, they carved out something that insiders say was not left to luck. Long rehearsals, little rituals before the camera rolled, a give-and-take that measured the other's breath and adjusted to it. There was talk that their harmony had been constructed deliberately, carefully tended like a garden against wind and schedule. If you ask why that chemistry did not roar through the ratings at home, the answer sits in the boring details that strangle good stories, late-night slots that smother momentum, pacing that refuses to sprint when the clock demands it, a narrative shape built for people who binge and revisit more than for those who passively glance with a remote in hand. But abroad? Abroad it behaved like a souvenir that tells a universal story. Migration, crime, love, identity, these themes traveled well. Elçin tested new edges in a character that asked for quiet power. Barış arrived with a fanbase already waiting at the airport. The applause was warm, sometimes thunderous. There's a rumor that if Adam Farah had been born for a digital platform, its fate would have written itself differently. Without weekly numbers tapping on the glass, without programming winds shifting the schedule just to see what falls, we might be talking today about a different endurance. But television is a boxing ring where the bell belongs to the ratings. Now cross the street to Sefir'in. Everything tightened there. Deadlines ran sharper, the network's breath could be felt on the nape of each episode. The keyboard in the writer's room kept changing hands. Hearts and bodies moved faster. More scenes in a day, more pages to shoot, more pressure to turn longing into action. In the earliest episodes, fans clipped moments from their screens, the way their eyes spoke, the calibration of silence, the care with which they kept distance and then closed it. The first wave looked promising, like a tide gathering strength. But when the plot began to splinter, those delicate exchanges lost their echo. The current pulled focus away from the two faces everyone had tuned in to read. Season 2 arrived with a weight that felt heavier than episodes could carry. The channel took a hard look at the numbers. The rumor mill says faith wavered. New writers tried to fix a heartbeat that had gone irregular. The audience struggled to hold on, and every week the cliff looked a little steeper. Then came the word no star wants to hear but every veteran knows may come, final. And as always, the chorus began. Did the pair fail? Did the love story fall flat? Was the mood too dark? The questions, in their sameness, felt like déjà vu. Elçin's answer cut through with a steady hand. Projects are not only born on set. They are born in living rooms, in apps, in crowded buses where people choose when to watch and what to watch next. She didn't pass the buck. She drew the map. You can prepare, you can show up, you can believe in the partner who waits for you in the other mark on the floor. If the audience does not come with you, the doors close. And then she added something that pried open a fresh round of arguments. Whatever flickered between her and Barış, it did not flicker out. The connection existed in both worlds. Different scripts, different demands, same current. Half the internet called it diplomacy, the kind of sentence that keeps headlines kind and co-stars unruffled. The other half said she had admitted what many had suspected. The problem was never the two of them. The problem was the spine of the story and the hands that kept changing it. Between those camps grew a small wildfire. Edits of their most intimate exchanges in Farah were set side by side with scenes from Sefir'in, as if chemistry could be measured like blood pressure on a screen capture. Gossip sites trawled old interviews, dug up rehearsal footage, and reminded everyone of that afternoon when they laughed between takes and didn't see the camera rolling in the corner. Behind the heat, a quieter conversation took shape. If anything has changed in Elçin's career arc, it is the sense that choices have become strategic. Not just chasing what's popular this month, but stepping into parts that do not repeat what came before. She has said more than once, in words that sound like a promise to herself, that she learns from the actors across from her. She harvests. She experiments. And she refuses to let a graph on a Friday night define a decade. As for Barış, his path keeps folding discipline into charm. He doesn't need the noise to be relevant, he lets the work percolate. The truth that emerges when you strip away the noise is almost unromantic in its simplicity. Chemistry saves nothing without a story that can carry it. A show with brittle bones cannot be held together by two steady hands, no matter how beloved those hands are. The victory or defeat belonged not to two people who kept looking for each other's eyes on a mark, but to a narrative that either invited the audience home or left them standing at the door. Still, there's one thing their supporters take from this stretch of the road: resilience. The pair have walked through different weathers and stayed recognizably themselves. Projects change. Partners change. Schedules bite. Ratings rise for reasons no one can entirely explain, and fall just as mysteriously. Careers, though, belong to those who stay curious, who keep working, who agree to be vulnerable with a stranger and call it Tuesday morning on set. That is what their fans cling to when numbers go cold. What does that mean for the legend of Barış and Elçin, the pair who can turn a hallway scene into a daydream? It means that whether the script asks for a love built in whispers or a passion forged in fire, what they bring is intention. In Farah, they built a cathedral of patience, a sanctuary for small gestures to ring loud. In Sefir'in, they tried to keep a candle lit in a hurricane of plot twists. One environment let their electricity arc across a sky no one had cluttered with fireworks. The other demanded survival first and tenderness after. Neither belongs entirely to them. That is the reality of this business. And yet, something lingers. Ask viewers abroad who found Adam Farah on a streaming menu halfway across the world, and they will tell you that the show felt like a handwritten letter that arrived when they needed it. Ask viewers at home who watched Sefir'in with one eye on the time and one ear on the doorbell, and they will tell you they wanted more of the two leads, less of the commotion. Trust the fans, they are rarely wrong about what connects and what does not. So here we are, with a story that is less about winners and losers and more about conditions. Less about assigning blame and more about understanding the geometry of schedules, scripts, and stamina. The lesson humming underneath is one our channel knows by heart: success is counted in hearts moved, not only in digits on a chart. And hearts can be moved in many languages, in many time zones, with different rhythms beating beneath the same names on a poster. Before we close, let's turn the lens back to you. When did Barış and Elçin's spark glow brightest for you? In the hush of Adam Farah, where a glance could feel like a confession? Or in the whirlwind of Sefir'in, where love had to fight for breath? Do you think chemistry is something that actors build like a craft, brick by brick, or something the script permits like a key turns a lock? Tell us what you saw, what you felt, and what you wanted more of. Your voice has always been the third lead in every story we follow. Don't wander off without leaving your mark. Drop your thoughts below. If this deep dive made you see familiar scenes in a new light, keep writing with Turkish Spotlight Secrets. Hit the bell that keeps our rendezvous on time. We'll be back with more secrets gathered from breaths held just off mic, from the corridors that echo when the camera stops. Because here, where the gossip has a heartbeat and the truth hides in plain sight, the curtain never really falls.